What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Slightly Biased Sports Talks. As always, I'm Milan, joined alongside with Bowen Cunningham, and we've got a very, very interesting episode today because, after 2 weeks of not recording due to the fact that there's just not much happening in sports right now. Obviously, like in the NBA, we've only got really the summer league. In football, the leagues weren't really going other than the fact that we had the bombshell news of Leo Messi joining Paris Saint-Germain. We kind of touched upon that when the news first was announced that he was going to leave. We both assumed he was going to PSG. We were both kind of speaking in the hypotheticals that he was joining PSG at that point. So I don't really think we should touch on that much more. We can't beat the dead horse at this point. Like, we know they're going to be one of the best teams out there. You got a front line of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. Yes. But today we actually have a very, very special episode. Bowen, what do we have to talk
Yeah,
about today?
yeah, Milan. We got Premier League, Premier League, I guess preview in a sense, but the league started last week. We also got going through best signing. Looking at the doc here, we're going through FA Cup, EFL Cup, top goal scorer and assisters. So we got a lot to cover. Just breaking down, I guess, each of the teams where we think they'll end up. So right off the top, my club, Arsenal. Milan, they got off to about as bad start as they could have last week, losing to Brentford in the first match of the new campaign. Not looking good, my friend. Martin Odegaard looks to be coming in the next couple of days from Real Madrid. That'll be a good signing to, shore up the central attacking midfield. But in terms of other signings, I don't think it's been enough. I think there's a lot of players in the squad that still need to kind of be moved on out if they really want to progress into the European places. So because of that, and I'd say still instability at manager under Mikel Arteta, I don't think he's the guy to lead them into back to where Arsenal should be. So I would put them probably seventh place. I'd put them seventh. What do you make of that?
It's interesting. I agree with you on the fact that you think that they haven't really progressed. It's pretty sad that you guys have spent upwards of 150 million this summer, and it seems to be, other than maybe Ben White for David Luiz, it seems to be the exact same squad from last season. The problems of you guys not being able to score goals were not touched upon because you have the same two strikers that you had last season. You don't really you didn't bring any goal scoring prowess there. Yes, you got a pretty good young player in Ben White, but 50 million is a steep price tag. Will he pay? Will he own up to that price tag? That remains to be seen. But I think this will be a change from the last few seasons for Arsenal because I don't know how long Arteta will be able to hold on to this job. Yeah. I think that you will be let go midway through the season. I have a very strong belief in this, and that's why I believe you guys will finish fifth.
Fifth. Okay, I'll write that. Let's put that down there in the doc, unless you have already done so.
I will do that.
There we are. I think it is what it is. It's there's clearly no, it's a tough spot for the Gunners to be in. They are paying players Champions League level wages, but they're not getting that output in return. Plus the Kroenkes, not selling the club. Unfortunately, from my perspective as an Arsenal supporter, it's tough times to be an Arsenal fan, but it's just, and then when the football isn't that entertaining, plus you're not getting results, plus you're spending a lot of money, it's like, where are we headed? It's down the table, and regression in football is one of the worst things you can experience, especially if you're not winning. It's probably one of the worst things. That's a depressing topic to talk about, but I guess we can move on here to Brentford. Obviously Brentford winning last week over Arsenal in their first match, so in front of their home fans in the Prem. What do you make of Brentford? Because I can see them going right back down. I could, with the three new teams every year, people always can kind of talk about one side maybe having a year like Sheffield a couple years back where they massively overachieved. But for Brentford, I like what they're doing with their signings and how they're kind of looking at building a squad and building a club. But it's tough to survive in the Prem, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go right back down at the end of the year.
That's fair. I mean, first and foremost, it's nice to see another London team in the Prem. Obviously, so many already, and then we have another one added that hasn't ever been in the Premier League. So it's their first time in the top flight since I believe the 40s. So massive respect to their fans for sticking through it, through thick and thin. I think that it's likely they will probably drop down the back to the championship, but if they play the big teams the way they played you guys in that first game of the season, there's no reason they can't finish about 15th to 16th and avoid it, in my
Right.
personal opinion. I think their manager plays a style of football, at least from what I saw in the Arsenal game, that's very teethy, almost in a sense. He's not scared to like go in,
No.
whoever it may be. He's gonna go all guns blazing. He's gonna try to get this win. He's not afraid of any team, and that's a very good thing to have when you're a manager of a smaller side, especially a side that can't compete with the likes of a Man City and Man United, and so on and so forth in a league like that. That's why I believe that there's a chance to finish about 15th to 16th. But I wouldn't be shocked to see them drop back down, maybe 17th or 18th. Um, I don't see them being bottom of the table though, because there are a few other teams here that I will definitely be very inclined to seeing drop down before I see Brentford going down that quick.
Yeah, that's it's tough to put an exact spot on them just because they haven't really been like obviously this is their first year in the league. So you put 16th down. I'll put 17th. Yeah, I could that would see them escaping the drop, but just barely so in that range. On to Aston Villa, next team on the list here. Aston Villa had obviously one of the most talked about summers in the Prem outside of the top six clubs with the transfer of Jack Grealish over to Manchester City. That was probably one of the stories of the summer, if not the story this summer. Might get rivaled by Harry Kane's potential move to Manchester as well. But bringing in Emi Bonita from Norwich, that's a positive signing. It's tough that they couldn't bring in Bonita to play alongside Grealish and Leon Bailey and the likes, but I think Villa, they're they're in an interesting spot. I can definitely see them contending for Europe this year, just with the squad they have, even without Grealish, because I think getting 100 million in for a player like Grealish, that's great. His price is clearly inflated by the Euro he just had. And you're in football, you don't need just one player, you need a team of players. And I think that sale of Grealish will definitely help them kind of just build for the future. So in terms of a spot where I'd put them, probably ninth. Give me ninth. So kind of around where they finished last year. I believe they finished 11th last year.
They did believe 11th. They did finish 11th, about 10 points clear of 12th.
Right.
And I actually very strongly disagree with you, Bowen. I don't believe Aston Villa is going to be good this season. I believe they're going to drop down to probably about 14th, I'd say. I believe that they've improved their squad. And yes, we can say that, yes, 100 million for Jack Grealish is a very, good amount of money to take in. But at the same breath, you've already spent that 100 million, and that squad, you've gotten pieces, but none of them will ever replace what Jack Grealish brought to that team, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, Jack Grealish is a fantastic player, slightly overrated sometimes, but a fantastic player nonetheless. But what he brought to specifically Aston Villa, with the way Aston Villa played their football, with the way they played through him, he was the main man, right? He was the main man. So that's why I believe this is going to be a very, very difficult season for Aston Villa fans. Yes, they made good signings. They still have I forget their striker's name. He was there last season, the English guy.
Ollie Watkins, fantastic player.
And obviously Emi Buendia, so on and so forth. I think they've improved slightly, like very, very slightly from like what they would have been had they not had Grealish whatsoever. But not having Grealish is a very, very big loss for Aston Villa. That's why I'm going to put them 14th.
Okay, I put them 9th. You put them 14th. I mean, I totally see where you're coming from. I mean, Villa, they definitely overachieved last year in a lot of ways, seeing as the year before they barely missed the drop, right? Like it was the last day of the season in the 2019-20 season that they missed out on, that they starved off relegation. So now, last year overachievement, this year maybe a bit of a regression to the mean. So 9th and 14th respectively. I can see it going either way there. Next up, Brighton. Wow, this is a tough one for me. Gonna be honest. Brighton, they've been in the past couple of years around the relegation zone. Obviously losing Ben White, which a lot of Premier League fans would say Ben White wasn't even their best defender on that team. I don't know about that if he's going for 50 million, but hey, that's just me. But yeah, Brighton's a tough one to gauge because they can clearly run with the big boys in the league. Like they've been able to stick it out. But would you say they have enough quality to to stay up, or because they're always a team that's in the mix for kind of around the relegation zone, right? In the past couple of years, at least.
It's crazy because I believe they're so much better than what their position always makes them out to be. I believe they're like low tens, like for anywhere from 8 to 11. I'd put them, if I would just to see them play without knowing anything about where they are in the table. That's where I would probably put them around in the Premier League because they play fantastic football. You know, Chris Potter, or is it Chris Potter?
Graham Potter,
pardon me. He just plays fantastic football through them. Obviously, Lewis Dunk as well. In my opinion, he was better than Ben White had last season. I don't know. We'll see. It remains to be seen this season. Obviously, Ben White had a very, very hard game against Brentford, first game of the season. But I really believe in Brighton. I'm actually gonna go as far to say that they're gonna finish 9th this year, which is gonna be a massive upgrade from they finished
just outside of the European
16th.
places
Last season, only 2 points clear, 17th.
Okay.
So I believe they're going to finish 9th this year. I don't know what it is. I strongly believe in this Brighton side.
I respect that. That's out there for sure. I wouldn't put them that high. But Brighton, they're definitely a side that's better. Yeah, now that I think about it, they're definitely better than the table shows. So give me a comfortable 14th. 14th. Have I put them have I put anybody 14th? No. So yeah, give me 14th.
14th. Nice.
Comfortably lower mid-table, but above the relegation zone for sure. Good
call. Moving on to Burnley. For me, the out and out 20th place team. I don't know how they're going to win a single game this year. I don't even know. They might have probably won on the weekend actually, but I'm not sure because there's just nothing in that team that excites me. Nothing in that team that makes me think, wow, they're going to be, a team that can compete. There's nothing. There's absolutely positively nothing.
Perennial overachievers. Perennial. It's side that perennially, punches above their weight for sure.
They finished 10 points clear or 11 points clear of 18th last season, just because Fulham just stunk up the place. Honest to goodness, they would have easily gone down had Fulham actually gotten their stuff together. Scott Parker should have been fired a long, long time ago. So I believe they're going to finish dead last, 20th place. There's nothing in that team that I'm believing in. There isn't a single player I'm like, wow, he's a fantastic player, he's going to carry them to glory. There's nothing there, absolutely nothing there. So Burnley is out of the question for me.
I mean, it's tough. Like they overachieved a couple of years back, but I mean, I don't know, man. It's a tough one with Burnley. Seeing as I put teams, yeah, you know what? Give me 18th.
18th. So 18th. You're saying relegation as well?
Yeah, just not enough to stay up. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like they were close. They were close last year. Obviously, 10 points clear is not that close at the end of the day, but it's I don't really know what to say. Give me 18th.
Yeah, fair enough. Chelsea Football Club.
Yep.
A very, very interesting side to talk about right now. Obviously, the talk of the town, Romelu Lukaku, joining for just around 150 to 120 million pounds. I don't know what to say about them in the league. I mean, they did win their first game, I believe, 3-0. Even Trevoh Chalobah in his Premier League debut for Chelsea had a fantastic goal. But in terms of what's going to happen in this league, where do you predict them to finish? Because I still don't think they're the best team in the league.
Comfortably top 4, but not challenging for the league, especially if Manchester City bring in Kane. We'll get to them in a bit, but they have a really good squad. But again, I think Tuchel, it's hard for him, right? Because in the league last year, they weren't great, even with Tuchel turned the ship around for sure, got them into the Champions League places, but his magic was fully on display in the Champions League, obviously with them winning it. So I think they're, in terms of squads, probably top 3 squad for me in the league. But squads don't always replicate to success. So for Chelsea, give me third, but no
Third.
higher than that. Yeah, third.
Interesting. They just to know, they finished on 67 points in fourth place, just 1 point above fifth place Leicester City.
Yep.
On the last match of the season, as always, Leicester City stinks up the place and chokes it. It's tough because they've gotten a lot better. Obviously, we've talked about it a million times over at this point. They've won the Champions League without a striker, which is unheard of, right? Now they have a striker. They've improved the squad massively. Everyone's comfortable. You got Hakim Ziyech, who had a fantastic Super Cup match prior to the injury. He was killing it, and I would have loved to sign Hakim Ziyech at Milan, especially on our right wing position. But nevertheless, it looks like he's not going to be going. So I believe that squad is serious. I don't know how serious they'll be in the league, but I'll take them fourth instead of third. I believe they're gonna hold their position in the same breath because I don't see them changing it up too much, even with the striker. Although I think Lukaku is gonna have a fantastic year, and I'm giving him about 20 to 25 goals this season just in the league.
Just in the league alone, that's high praise. But he's in the prime of his career right now, so I can see it. But yeah, give me third place, comfortably Champions League, and I think anything else, like another deep Champions League run for them would be gravy, because we didn't expect that out of them last year, obviously, and they went all the way. So tough to see as a local rival from an Arsenal perspective, but they're shelling out the big bucks and it's paying off. So fair play to them, I guess. I guess we could get on to Palace now. Any more thoughts on Chelsea?
No, let's move on.
Okay, Crystal Palace. This is an interesting one. Last year, I believe a lot of people had them picked for relegation, and they obviously stayed up. Weren't exactly in super exciting football, but Patrick Vieira's there. He's brought in some new players. Wilfried Zaha is still kicking around at the club, obviously. I don't think they're relegated. I don't think they're nearly as in threat of relegation as they were last year. I think they can definitely stay up. But yeah, I can't really put a place on where they'll finish this season. What do you make of Palace?
Wow, because I'm of a completely opposite opinion of you on this, because I believe downgrading from Roy Hodgson to Patrick Vieira is one of the worst things you can do. And with all due respect to Patrick Vieira as a player, he is not a good manager. We've seen it in New York City. We've seen it in Nice. He's just not a good manager. And I believe they will just avoid relegation with a 17th place finish. Because as much as you have star power there, you don't have any, I know that they're going to be in the difference between Arsenal and Crystal Palace, that Arsenal has a lot more talent, that when they have a manager that has no game plan and just goes into games with hope, and that's it, they can still salvage some results, right? When you have players that have heart, like Emil Smith Rowe, like Kieran Tierney, off the top of my head, Bukayo Saka, these kind of players, they're gonna, game plan or not, they're gonna be fighting till that final whistle, and there's just not enough in Crystal Palace apart from Wilfried Zaha there. So that's why I'm gonna take them for 17.
And even then,
just
Zaha,
avoiding
we
relegation.
don't know what's going on with him, but his loyalty has definitely seemed elsewhere at times, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So you put 17th. Give me 16th.
16th.
Yeah.
Okay. So just above Brentford.
Just above them. Yep.
All right. Everton.
This is an interesting one. Rafa Benitez, now the manager there. Everton, perennial 7th place, in and around that position on the table. Did they get better or worse this year? It's hard to say. I think, honestly, I put Arsenal at 7th, did I not? So give me 8th for Everton, just kind of in and around where they typically finish in the table. Benitez is a good manager. I don't think he's a great manager. I think in today's day and age, he'll do well for them for sure, but he's just kind of get them to where they always were. So it's a bit of a cop out on my end, putting them in 8th, but I think that's where they'll end up personally.
Nice. I'm of the same opinion as you. I believe Carlo Ancelotti is a much better manager than Rafa Benitez.
Yep.
I believe there's going to be a drop off. I'm going to take them 11th because the team
Okay.
more or less has stayed the same. You've got 2 great young strikers in Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. Richarlison coming off a great summer, finals in the Copa America, gold medal in the Olympics. Dominic Calvert-Lewin didn't really play much for England, but he was ready. Had the time came, he was ready, and I believe, considering the way that they were playing through Harry Kane, it might have actually been a better idea to play Dominic Calvert-Lewin in some of those games, considering that if all you're gonna do is just cross and not play through the guy, you might as well have played Dominic Calvert-Lewin, give him some minutes, help the squad overall. But yeah, those two players, you've got a young core in Bernard, you've still got Allen, you've got Mason Holgate, I believe that's his name, the right back / center back. He's a great player. I'm gonna take them they finished 10th. I'm gonna take them for 12th next year, unless I put someone 12th. Did I? I did not. I'm gonna take them for 12th.
Okay, nice.
You are taking them
8th.
for 8th.
Yep.
So you're taking improvement.
Sorry?
You're taking them to improve this year.
Yes, just a bit, but I don't rate Ancelotti as highly as you do. But I don't rate Benitez as well as other people do others. So, that's Everton, I guess.
Yeah.
On to Leeds, who got absolutely worked this weekend by Manchester United. It was a tough showing for Bielsa and his men, but I think Leeds obviously play some of the most entertaining football in the league. We all know that. As to where they finish, I could see them struggling this year, honestly. I know I've quite a few positions at the bottom half of the table filled already.
Yeah.
But I mean, would 13th would be, that's not taken yet, is it? No, it's not. So yeah, give me 13th. They're gonna play very entertaining football, but the way in which they press so heavily, it'll leave them exposed. It'll lead them to conceding more goals than they probably should be. That doesn't take away that they play some of the most beautiful football on their day. But look, Arsenal beat them pretty handedly last year at the Emirates. And granted, that was last year, whole different season. But if a Mikel Arteta Arsenal side basically took them apart with pretty ease, I mean, it's tough to see them kind of punching above their weight. So yeah, give me 13th.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I was actually going to put them 13th myself. Bielsa is a great manager. Obviously, his style of football is very, very fantastic to watch. He forces his players to run laps 24/7. He wants them to be able to run at any moment of the game. In the 85th minute, you see the whole team sprinting for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You got great players in Rafinha. Rafinha is a fantastic player. I would love to see a player of Rafinha's caliber at Milan. I'm going to take them 13th, though. I think they're going to drop off a little bit. You can see it from game 1 here against Man United. That's the kind of play style that's going to happen against the big teams. It's not going to be as easy to hold that 9th place. There were a lot of results. I do recall, I believe they had a good result against Liverpool last season. I don't think Liverpool is going to be as bad as they were this season, as bad as they were last season, this season, considering some of the injuries that are going to be coming back, which we'll touch on just in two teams. So I'm going to take them 13th as well.
Okay.
I think that's the most accurate.
I like that pick. Yeah, and again, they're going to play great football, but it won't always translate to wins. So I think that's on the Leeds. Leicester City, I'm just going to go ahead and say it 5th place. They're not finishing within the Champions League spots. They play great football themselves, but I think, again, it's just going to come down to, can they get over the line? Will they lose James Maddison? Probably not. He's probably staying. But, I mean, I just think it's a bit of a cop-out on my end, Milan, but I think, they pencil them in for 5th place.
Oh, yeah? I have Arsenal in 5th right now because I believe that Arsenal is going to steer the ship backwards, back to where it should be once Mikel Arteta is out of the picture. So I'm going to take them 6th, actually. Okay. I really like the addition of Patson Daka. great young striker from Red Bull Salzburg that they picked up. He was
Yeah,
killing in the Austrian league. I really like what they've done with the team. They're kind of getting ready for the time that Jamie Vardy is going to stop playing because he's already
he's
in his
getting up
mid
there in age.
30s. He's in his mid 30s. Yes, he's still putting up a cool 15 goals a season, which is absurd considering the diet he's on and all different aspects of Jamie Vardy's life. But then again, it's just there's too many teams in front of them that are better. And the capitulation at the end of the season for Leicester, I can't count that out. So I'm going to take them sixth place.
Sixth place. Okay, I got them fifth. You got them sixth. Reasonable picks. Yeah, I think Brendan Rodgers, he's a much better manager than I made him out to be a couple years back with Liverpool. I thought he got. I didn't give him his flowers back then, but now I'm turning on him. I'm giving him his flowers, but I still think just the squads ahead of them. I think there's a clear 4 squads that are better than them. And again, Leicester always have to kind of punch above their weight, so no shame on them getting 5th place with a club of their stature. It's pretty remarkable. That'd be 3 consecutive years of solid European places. So no disrespect to them. But any more thoughts on Leicester, or we get to move on to Liverpool?
Let's move on, boss.
All right, so Liverpool last year, obviously coming off a pretty disappointing season for them, couldn't successfully defend their title by any stretch of the imagination. Finishing in 4th this year, though, with a much healthier squad. And
finishing in 3rd, actually.
Obviously, every squad looks to be less reliant on injury, but I think Liverpool this year, honestly, Milan, give me 2nd place. Give me 2nd. They were very, very impressive against Norwich, and their 3-0 win on the weekend. And again, granted, it's Norwich. They're not world beaters, but Liverpool had a task to do. They stepped up to it, and Van Dijk, he'll be back and fit. And if he remains that way, then I think he's one of the best center backs easily in the world on his day. We both know this. So yeah, 2nd place. Will they be challenging for the title closely? I don't think as close as they have in the 2 years before last year, but 2nd place for Liverpool.
Yeah, they actually, you said 4th, they finished 3rd as well last season, which
3rd, yeah, my bad.
Things considered, considering the injuries they went through, that's a fantastic finish in the table. Yes, that's disappointing when you think of the Liverpool team that we've seen in the last 2-3 years.
Yep.
But that's a fantastic finish. And I am actually taking the same pick as you. I was going to take them 2nd place. I believe the comeback of Virgil van Dijk is just going to be far too difficult to take them lower. And I actually think that they'll be able to take at least one of the legs against City.
Okay.
But the other one, City's just gonna walk away with that game. They honestly didn't improve the team much this summer in terms of signings, but when you have a team that was working so well and you have a manager like Jurgen Klopp, like no one's figured the guy out yet, right? Like he plays a very like easy to understand style of football, but none of the managers know how to beat it. Trent Alexander-Arnold's coming off a pretty bad year in his books. Andy Robertson, a good Euros and a good year in my opinion. But Trent, now that Virgil van Dijk's back, he's going to look a lot better because his defensive worries are going to be taken care of by Van Dijk. He's going to be able to get that ball up the pitch as he always has. And, playing through the fullbacks is the story of modern day football, right? We're going to see that time a lot. Unfortunately, I wish they would have picked up a striker. I'm a big fan of Roberto Firmino, but I believe that they don't really have a striker per se. He plays that messy role in the sense that he gets all the players involved, almost like a cam in a sense, but they don't have like an out goal scorer. I guess Salah and Mane kind of get involved in that. Mane, in my opinion, has had a bit of a drop off in the last year or two. So yeah, I'm still going to take them 2nd, but I don't know how closely they'll be challenging for the league myself as well. Yeah, 2nd place is a good pick, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. And look, man, it's the same team that's basically been a Champions League winning side. They won a couple years back, 2019. They won the league the next year. So this is the same team in place, and when healthy, they're definitely going to be challenging for the title. How much of a challenge will it be this year? I don't know, because Milan, we're at Manchester City, and I think unless you have an absolute absolute crazy pick up your sleeve here. I think this is the team we're both picking to win the title, correct?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind, City are going to win the league. I honestly think they're going to walk the league. Yes, they lost their first match of the season, but with the signing of Harry Kane, which looks to be imminent, even though Tottenham they're holding serve in a sense. Yeah, if they get Kane, it's game over. And for them, their sights should honestly be much higher than the league, because if they don't win the league, it's a disappointment. And if they don't win the Champions League, it's a disappointment. So Man City are putting all their chips in on the table. And yeah, that's all about I can really say in terms of a league position. You look at that squad, they're so deep. They are so deep. They got ballers across the board. And yeah, I just don't see them any way that they don't win the title this year.
It's yeah, like you said, Harry Kane looks like he's probably gonna end up there at some point or another. And it's crazy. There's a lot of memes saying like, isn't it crazy that Gabriel Jesus is a backup striker on a team that doesn't have a striker? That team is just unbeatable, right? Like, you think a player of Gabriel Jesus' stature is a backup striker.
Yep.
You got players like Bernardo Silva. Supposedly he wants out. I would love to see him at Milan again. That's a perfect position we very much need, a right wing / central attacking midfielder. That he'd be fantastic for us. You've got the likes of Riyad Mahrez, Sterling. You picked up Grealish this summer for 100 million. Rodri coming off a great year. I don't remember how well he really did in the Euros. I don't really recall his performance in the Euros that well, but I mean, for Spain finish in the semifinals, he must have done something good. He had a great year in the league for Man City otherwise, and they obviously finished in the Champions League final in terms of Europe.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to win the league. And it's the story every year. In the beginning of the year, it looks like City's a little quiet. That's exactly what happened last year. Oh yeah, City's not looking too good. Maybe it'll be a different team that wins. Nope. Everyone thought there was a chance that Tottenham was winning last year. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, give me Man City first place. Give me cakewalk, and I'm taking 100 points this year.
Yeah, I could see it, man. I could see it, especially if they get Kane. And we both know how much Guardiola loves to rotate his teams. So that'll help a lot with freshness going down the stretch. And yeah, I just don't see any way they don't win the title. Any more thoughts on City? Or we get to United?
Let's go on to the Red Devils, sir.
The Red Devils. To the Red Devils we go. And they're also a side that's going to be gunning for the title this year. We've talked about it a lot with the acquisition, the transfers they've made this summer, bring in Jadon Sancho, Rafael Varane, two absolutely wonderful players on there. But they got a lot of talent in that team. But because I've already selected a team in third, second, and first, they're not going to fish out of the Champions League places for me. So I'm putting them fourth. I think they're going to disappoint. I was higher on them a couple weeks ago. And granted, it's easy to be high on them right now because they just demolished Leeds over the weekend very comfortably, and Paul Pogba had a absolute masterclass of a performance. So if you can get him and Bruno Fernandes just working in that team, pulling the strings with the attacking talent they have, this is a team that is loaded, and they should be, challenging for that league title. But I still think Liverpool, I think they're a better squad. I think Chelsea has a better squad, and City definitely has a better squad. And over the course of 38 game season, pretty much every team is going to lose a couple of games they want back. And I just think Ole's a good manager, but he's not the manager they need to get him over the top. I still wholeheartedly believe that. And because of the manager, I think fourth place.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes is coming off a hat trick in the first game of the season. I'm sick and tired of Paul Pogba slander, because that is one of the most talented footballers in the world at this moment. I take that to the grave. I'd say probably in the top 5 of most talented, purely based when you think of the guy is over 6 foot, playing like he's Messi, right? In the midfield and still being physical, right? This guy is a machine. you're adding the likes of Jadon Sancho, obviously missing out on Marcus Rashford for a little while. He's finally doing the surgery that he should have done prior to the Euros. He shouldn't have gone to the Euros. I take that to the grave. We talked about this when we did our Euro prediction, that he should have never gone to the Euros, and England really fumbled the bag, and Gareth Southgate has blood on his hands for that. I'm going to take them third, and I think they're going to be a close third to second place Liverpool.
Okay.
But what I put over Liverpool to Man United is United brought in two great players, but their most important position they didn't touch, and that's their defensive midfield.
Yep.
McTominay is a fantastic player. Fred on his day can put up a great performance, but there is no defensive midfielder I see in that side that I go, they're safe. You know what I mean? There's no Patrick Vieira of the Invincibles Arsenal. There's no Casemiro of, that Real Madrid side.
Yep.
I believe if they bring in a player, it doesn't look like that'll happen this summer or in the next month or so, but if they are able to bring in a player of Wilfred and Ndidi's stature, or Cassie, there's no chance he's going. Sorry to let y'all down, United fans. There's no way he's ever leaving. There's been talks for Camavinga. I don't know if that's the guy you really need.
Camavinga.
I don't know if that's the one you need. You know what I mean? He's a great player and all, but I don't know if that's what you need right now, because United are in a win now mode almost. Yes, they have a lot of young talent, but they're the type of talents that have already achieved a lot of things, right? Sancho has become a phenom in the last 3 years. Like he went from being a nobody, being shunned by Man City, to going to the Bundesliga, making a name for himself, arguably becoming one of the best players, if not the best player as a right midfielder in his position in the world at the time. I'm going to take them third. I'm going to take them a close third, but missing a defensive midfielder will definitely bite them in the ass. I think Ole, I think he's a good manager. I don't think he's a great manager. I think he's just underneath that United level. I think had he managed a team honestly, if he were managing a team like Arsenal, I think Arsenal would be serious, because as much as there isn't really a game plan that I think of to the top of my head of Ole, he somehow finds a way to unlock these big games, and that's what Arsenal has had struggled with in these Man City results, because I don't recall the last time I've seen United lose to City. Like, you know what I mean? United always, against these big sides, they pull out the big results, and that's why I think they'll give him a little bit more time. Maybe he'll develop a little bit more, but in my personal opinion, as of right now, he's just not on the level of Manchester United. I'll take him on the level of Arsenal. In terms of any other club off the top of my head, I think he'd be if you were able to swap Allegri and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think both teams would improve.
Really?
I think that would be an interesting swap there. But other than that, I'm gonna take them third place and a close to second. So
comfortably Champions League, no doubt in my mind. This is not the United of the mid 2010s that were kind of struggling to get Champions League. They're a comfortable Champions League side, but I just think, the squads, as I just talked about, there are definitely a couple squads that are better than them, and I don't think always good enough to project them above any of those sides. So that's what I make of them. But onto Newcastle. Newcastle United. Wow, this is a tough one. I want to throw them in 20th. But then I look at the teams we have below left on the list, and I still think their sides are worse. Again, Newcastle last year were pretty dreadful. Nothing really to speak of on them in terms of anything that's
of substance.
Yeah, of substance. Obviously, Mike Ashley, the takeover that was rumored for about a year plus now hasn't gone through. It's pretty dreadful if you're a Newcastle supporter, because you want this guy to sell the club, but it's not going to happen. He's going to hold on to the club, as will the Cronkies with Arsenal. That's another topic that beaten to death. So let's see. Who have I picked ahead of them? 16th open.
Finishing in 12th last season, might I add. Tied on points with Wolves.
That's true. But just what I saw from when I saw them last year, they weren't
good. They
weren't exciting. So I already have someone in 16th. give me 15th.
15th place.
15th place.
I believe that they do I have anyone? I have 16th, I have 17th. I don't want to put them in relegation.
I was close to putting them in relegation, but
I'm gonna put them in 14th.
Okay.
Just like you say, there's not really anything in that team that excites me. It's similar to Burnley, but I don't know what it is. I have this like old memory of Newcastle, like the days of the Demba Ba and the Poppy Cisse days, which are long gone, but for some reason,
at this point,
for some reason, I just always think that they're gonna pull it out the bag in some way, right?
Mhm.
So I'm always gonna have them just hanging around in the Premier League. Even when they get relegated, I know by next year they'll be back at some point.
Yep.
So I'm gonna take them 14th actually, and you are taking them.
Similar.
You're taking them which position?
15th, I believe.
Okay, and then 15th.
So yeah, similar spots in the table. I guess we can move on to Norwich.
Yes, sir.
Norwich back in the Premier League, obviously. But I think it's going to be a straight trip back down to the Championship for them. They won't be as bad as they were a couple seasons back when they finished dead last in 2019-20, I believe it was. They finished bottom of the table. But let's see, do I have someone in 19th yet? I don't. So I think I'm going to throw them in 19th. I mean, it's tough. I like some of the players in that team. I like Norwich. Like they play attractive football, but in the Premier League, I just don't see it. So give me 19th.
It's sad because shout out to Nick Robinson, big Norwich City fan, but their team is just, they've gotten a lot of improvements. Milo Rashica from the Bundesliga picking up Josh Sargent, great young player, great American young player. You've got a lot of other players and you got Lise Malou. They picked him up from Nice, who had a great season in France. I'm gonna take them 18th.
Okay.
But just away from, like, Crystal Palace would just be like a point off of them. Like,
right.
Just because if I were to switch them, just because I personally think that Crystal Palace doesn't have enough to compete, but Crystal Palace has the likes of Wilfried Zaha, and no one on Norwich, not even the likes of Max Aarons, Timu Pukki, and so on and so forth, is on the level of Wilfried Zaha to be able to get them even slight draws or any results.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm going to take them 18th. But in a perfect world, I believe they stay up and Crystal Palace goes down. But unfortunately, this is football. I'm going to put them 18th place. You are taking them 19th?
19th, yes. 19th place for them. You got about
Southampton.
How many teams here? Five sides left. Okay.
Yeah.
On to Southampton. Man, I have no idea. Do I have anybody in 12th? Because that's where I feel like they could be around. Granted,
they're coming off 15th place on 43 points, just 1 point off of Crystal Palace and 2 points ahead of Brighton last season.
Okay. And I'm looking at my list here, and I don't think I have anybody in 12th. So I don't think they're relegation. I think they're mid-table. Maybe 12th might be a bit high considering where they finished last season. But Southampton have they've been pretty solid since being in the Premier League for an established period of time now. So I think 12th place for them. I just don't see them being in relegation danger, and I don't really see them pushing above for Europe. So I think 12th is a comfortable spot.
Quality. I'm going to take them. They finished 15th last year. I'm going to have them in the same position. I'm just looking at my list here. I don't think I have anyone in 15th as far as I know. Now I'm actually of the belief I'd probably put Newcastle just a little bit too high. Maybe I should have switched them. But Southampton, it seems like it's just a tradition at this point that every year they come up against a decent side and they lose 9-0. And then they turn it back around with a great result, but and some great stringer results, but it's just not good enough to be able to be in the top 10. I don't think they're a relegation side per se. They've got a lot of good young players. I believe they got rid of Vestergaard this summer, but to Leicester. I believe Leicester actually picked up Vestergaard, which is actually a great signing with you mentioned earlier. But Bednarek, a great defender. I'm gonna take them 15th. Keep
15th.
the same
Okay.
position you had last year.
I got them in 12th. So
Well,
yeah, it's comfortably in the league, but past that, it, not much else to say on them really.
yeah,
On the Tottenham, I guess.
yeah.
And wow, this is an interesting one. Another interesting one. Um, they had a pretty well. Granted, they just came off and beat Manchester City on the weekend. Is that how good their actual talent level is? Probably not, but I think Nuno is a better manager than Jose Mourinho would have been for them last year.
Oh,
So I
okay,
think
okay, okay,
they'll
okay,
get
okay.
an upgrade in that department.
I was
And
about to say that's disrespect. I was very ready to defend Mourinho with my life
you
right there.
were really. I don't know,
I was about
man.
to.
I think Mourinho. I think the game's passed Mourinho by, and I think, granted, this is last year's news, but I generally think the league's passed him by. I think he's too stagnant with his tactics. He had a side that was very good and should have been pushing on for Champions League, but everything fell apart underneath his management. And I think this year it's definitely a weird spot that they're in because they look likely to sell Harry Kane, but Heung-min Son is still there. Um, Tanganga looked absolutely phenomenal on the weekend. You got a lot of pieces still there from that Champions League final run a couple years ago now, and I think with a better manager perhaps, and maybe getting Harry Kane, look, they're losing their best player, no doubt, but it could work out for the best if they're able to reinvest that money in some better players down the line. But again, you could lose Kane, so that's a big goal source gone from them. So because of that, I'll put them in 6th. I don't think they're Champions League quality, but I don't think they're gonna spiral down the table either with the loss of Kane if that happens, and it might not happen. So it's undecided on that front. I'm rambling here a bit, I know, but yeah, give me 6 for Tottenham.
Harry Kane or not, I actually believe this is going to be a horrible season for Tottenham. One lucky win does not define a season of. Nuno
Not at
is
all.
a very defensive coach, right? And when you've got a player that's just leading the league in assists and goals off last season, you're not going to get the most out of him.
Yeah,
And if you lose him, then you lose, in my opinion, everything. Because yeah, you're going to have Heung-min Son hit a good 15, 17 goals a season, but who's going to be creating for him other than himself? You know what I mean? There's nobody there because Dele Alli isn't the player of he once was, which is crazy to say when he's only like 23 or
he's
24
only in
years
his
of
mid
age.
20s. Yeah,
But I'm taking them. Maybe this is a hot take. I'm taking them 11th. I think this
11th.
is going to be
That
a
far.
horrible
Wow.
season. They finished in 7th last year on 62 points, just 1 point ahead of Arsenal. Playing in the Conference League this year, that's another day of football you have to worry about. Nuno doesn't have a lot of experience playing in like multiple competitions at the same time. Yeah, he played 1 season, I believe, of Europa League, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously early exit for him, understandably so, because not much experience. So I'm actually going to take them 11th place. I think this is going to be a horrible season for Tottenham, especially if Harry Kane leaves. And even if he stays, I'm still taking them 11th. So
Even
yeah,
if they stay, wow, I think that's a hot take of the episode, my friend. I don't see them falling that far down, but comfortably in 6. But wow, even with Kane, so you just don't rate Nuno that highly at all, do you?
I think he's a good manager, but I don't think he's what Tottenham needed.
Right.
The thing is with Nuno is he's a great defensive manager. Like he'll bring them. He is very Italian in that sense. I believe if he goes to Italy, he'll flourish there. But he
Yeah.
hasn't discovered in his manager. He's still a young manager. Don't get me wrong. So like it remains to be seen if he improves on that front. But he hasn't discovered a way to make the most out of his attacking players.
Right.
In the history of Nuno, like my memories are of Ruben Neves being one of his best attacking players, and Ruben Neves is his defensive midfielder, right? Yeah, he brings out a lot out of Raul Jimenez. Adama Traore looked all right, but those are all physical players that are good tracking back and defending again, right? So I don't know how much he'll be able to get out of attacking side. Tanganga, another guy who I should shout out Mourinho for bringing out in the All or Nothing documentary. So, maybe Mourinho does know what he's doing. We'll talk about that in our Serie A prediction coming up this week as well. But yeah, I'm going to take them 11th. I just don't see it. I don't see it with Tottenham.
Wow, that'd bring joy to my heart as an Arsenal supporter, but I don't see it happening. But that'd be a bit of a shambles if they finished 11th. That's definitely trending far backwards from where they were just a few years ago, coming off a Champions League final, sacking their manager, and then getting into this downward spiral they find themselves in. But I totally agree, Milan. One game isn't indicative of a full season's performances. But yeah, I think any more to say on Tottenham before we just start going in circles for an hour.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on.
All right, so 3 more sides here: Watford, West Ham, and Wolves. Starting off with Watford, and for me, they're going straight back to the championship. I got them dead last. I just don't see it, man. I don't see it. Like, it's out of the 3 teams remaining, I haven't picked a team in 20th yet, and West Ham won't be that bad, and Wolves, they could disappoint, but I don't think they're going down either. So give me 20th spot. They're a very good championship side, but a Premier League side, I just don't see them having it in them to stay up. So yeah, right back down for them.
Wow. I mean, it looks like they're going to be one of the relegation sides that we have to pick, just looking at the fact that we've picked everyone else except 19th, and I'm not putting either of the other 2 teams at 19th. So yeah, Watford, it looks like you're going right back down, boys. Had a great season in the championship. Troy Deeney, I'm sure he's excited seeing Watford back in the Prem after all the trash he talked to Arsenal fans and this, that, and the other. But unfortunately, it looks like you're going right back down. And what can I say? What can I say about Watford? There's not much to say really, because there's not, like the other relegation sides, there's nothing there that I'm excited about. There's nothing there that I'm thinking, wow, they're going to stay up. Wow, they're playing fantastic football. It's a foregone conclusion. So yeah, I'm gonna put them 19th, and you're putting them 18th.
I put them 20th.
Or 20th. Wow. Okay.
Which could be a bit harsh. I think they're getting relegated, but maybe I put a couple other sides too high, and
we might have to
to stay up.
We might have to put this all into a list first before we fully take it what we want to take. But yeah, right. I hear what you're saying here. Yeah, for sure. Watford just don't look like a serious side, so it looks like they're definitely going right back down, whether it's 20th or 18th or 19th, they're going
100% agree. On the West Ham, who are going to be playing in Europe this season after a phenomenal season by their standards last year. A lot of people had them as relegation favorites, and obviously they were in a pretty thick Champions League race up until the end of the season, where they tailed off a bit, but they're going to be playing in the Europa League, so shout out to them for that. The West Ham Europa League adventures 2020-2021, keep your eyes peeled for that, or 2021-22, keep your eyes peeled for that. But wow, I'm looking at the table here, and where could I put them? What positions haven't been picked? Like 13th, I think, for me. Oh no, we have a bit of an issue here, Milan. I think 13th and 14th I haven't picked, and that would be a pretty bad season for them. But again, maybe because last year they definitely overperformed. So you know what, by the looks of it, in the last 2 sides on the list, I'll have to put them 13th.
13th, eh? I need to figure out exactly which positions I have missing, because I believe I'm missing 8th place. Because if that's the case, then I'm going to put them 8th. So I've got 5th, I've got 4th, I've got 6th, 2nd, 1st, 3rd, 11th.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. It might have to be 13th. Yeah,
I think I have 8th open. I'm gonna put them 8th place. Unfortunately, they'll be missing the likes of Jesse Lingard's Magic, which we all laughed at.
We both picked Leeds for 13th. All right, so after some confusing mathematical equations, we've come to the realization that both of our tables are a bit scuffed. We're missing a few spots here for some reason. Peak RTA math. Shout out grade 12 requirement for math not being needed on the application process. But nonetheless, we got Wolves and we got West Ham on the last two teams in this list, in this scuffed list for us. So I'm gonna say West Ham. Last year they overachieved, and this year I got them in give me 11th because it's open on my table.
I see. Interesting. I don't think they actually overachieved. I think West Ham is you know, as we were saying, they're in Europe. They've got they're going to be missing Jessica Lingard's magic, but they're going to have a lot of great players in Thomas Suchek, who's for me one of the best midfielders in the world, let alone the Prem. You've got a lot of great defenders in Vladimir Kufal. You've got Mikel Antonio, who always shows up somehow, some way in the Premier League. So I'm going to take them 7th. Actually, I believe they're going to have a great season.
Wow, so that's kind of right around where they were last year. That's a bit lower than they were last year. I believe they were 6th last year. Yes, but
they were.
That'd be a really solid season for them. I mean, I think they definitely overachieved, but I respect that take. That's I wouldn't have that much confidence in them this season. I think just based off the fact they're going to be playing in Europe. Did they have the squad depth for that? Probably not. But hey, if they could manage to pull it off, I mean, fair play to them. That's West Ham club in a big stadium. Granted, they're a London rival, but you wouldn't hate to see them kind of pushing in around that area of the table. So I respect that take, brother. That's out there, but I respect it. And then the last team we have Wolves. I'm just so confused with this table right now, but I guess 14th if I haven't already said it. So yeah, give me 14th there.
14th, eh? I think they're actually going to be a lot better than they were last year. On loan, they've picked up Francisco Trincao from Barcelona, who's a great young player. Raul Jimenez is going to be back on the pitch. You know, very happy for him after a horrific moment in his career, in his life. Almost put in to death. He said he was in an interview yesterday. He said he was very close to dying on the pitch. Like he barely survived. So considering that they finished 13th without their best striker, I'm actually going to take them in 8th. I think they're going to have a great season. I don't think their team has improved much, but it has improved enough in the positions that they needed because they've got a good goalkeeper in Jose Sa after selling Rui Patricio. They picked up from Olympiacos. Francisco Trincao, or Trincao, whatever it is. He's going to be, he's going to have his opportunity in the Premier League. He's going to be playing against those mid-table Prem sides. We'll see how he does there. I don't really know what to expect from their management per se, but in terms of what the talent on that team holds, I think 8th wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility.
I definitely have them lower on the table than you. I was gonna honestly throw them around the relegation zone just based off. I don't know. It's just gonna be maybe my hot take, but I have them at 14. So it's comfortable. It's not dangling around there like I thought I would. But 8th place would be quite the season for them, man. That's hard to see them kind of pushing into those in that fight for European places. But again, if it happens, it happens, and that's football, right? That's pretty unpredictable. So any last thoughts on the table, or we get to top goal scorer, assists, and the like?
Yeah, let's go on to that. Top goal scorer. It's pretty easy to pick Harry Kane, considering he came off a great season, but I'm actually going to go with Romelu Lukaku. I think this year is just going to be fantastic for him. He's going to be scoring all the goals for Chelsea. I'm pretty afraid for your side, your Gunners this weekend. Probably he's getting his debut against you guys. I'm seeing a good 3 or 4 goal performance from him. I'm not going to lie. He's a terrifying striker, and I speak from experience because that guy's ripped our team to shreds. So yeah, I'm taking Lukaku as my top goal scorer with a cool 25 to 30 goals, I'd say.
25 to 30. That'd be a phenomenal season. Again, as you said, I think give me Lukaku as well. But I don't think he will score as many goals. I think he'll score could see him scoring 20 to 22, but I maybe no more than that. Kane would be another good pick, but I just think who knows if he even ends up at City, and who knows how much he'd be playing a lot, but he wouldn't be playing week in, week out, because we know how much Pep loves to rotate the side, and the league wouldn't be the top priority for them, although he'd be banging in goals left, right, and center with City. But yeah, give me Lukaku on that. But for top assists, I'm going to go Kevin De Bruyne. Even if he has been dealing with a bit of injuries here and there, I think on his day, he's one of the best players in the league. And even if he misses time with injury, he'll still make up for it, especially if they get a player like Kane in the door. So give me De Bruyne for top assists. Easy pick to say.
How many prediction assists would you take?
Sorry, how many assists? That's a good question.
I'd say his max is about 19, just considering the record is untouchable. That 20 assist record is untouchable.
Yep. I'd say
from 18 to 19, 16.
But yeah, he's the type of player to be involved in a lot of buildup as well. He may not be on the end pass all the time, but it's kind of weird saying that as I'm predicting him to get top assist. But yeah, Kevin De Bruyne for top assist.
I'm gonna take I think that's the easiest pick to take. I think Kevin De Bruyne, he consistently does that. But I'm actually gonna take a bit of a cheat pick because we've already seen the first game of the season. I'm gonna take Paul Pogba.
Wow.
I think they're going to be creating a lot of goals this year, and starting off with 4 assists. I think he's in a good position. So I'm going to take him for about 17 assists this year. I'm going to take Paul Pogba. I think he's in a better spot mentally with Man United. He's not going to have. I don't believe he's going to have his agent yapping in his ear saying, "Oh yeah, Paul seems to want to go to PSG, whatever." PSG doesn't have the space for him anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's going to be staying, and he put up a cool 17 assists this year, and they're going to have a legit run in the Champions League as well. So Paul Pogba, 17 assists.
Yeah, and 4 assists to start the season. That's got you on your way pretty well there. So that's a great pick in itself. A bit off the page for sure, but he's already got 4, so he's leading that race. As for the other competitions, FA Cup, League Cup, and best signing, wow. FA Cup's a tough one. Not Arsenal.
Really? You guys are FA Cup invincibles.
Man United, I think they're going to take it this year. I don't think they're going to win the league, obviously. I don't think they're going to win the Champions League, but they're going to come home with some silverware, and I think it'll be the FA Cup. So Manchester United for that.
But you guys are FA Cup merchants.
Arsenal are FA Cup merchants, but I just the last one was a fluke, and Arsenal, I just don't see, man. I don't see them picking up silverware. So yeah, United.
I'm actually gonna go with Chelsea. They were in the final last year.
Yep.
I think, considering they're not going to be, for me, winning the league, I think they're going to be pushing for some sort of silverware. And I think Tuchel's a great cup manager in the sense that it's different for being a league manager than a cup manager, because in a league, you have to be consistent over 38 weeks, right? In a cup, you have to win a one-off game or maybe 2 off if you do 2 legs, right? And then I think he's a great cup manager. We saw it in the Champions League. We saw it getting to the Champions League final with PSG during the prime of COVID. So I'm gonna take Chelsea as my winner, actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's typically one of those sides in the top 6 wins it. Leicester went obviously last year, but 2 very respectable picks there.
EFL Cup. I think this is pretty easy. I think I know who your pick is going to be, if it's going to be the same one as me.
Yep.
You want to say it on the count of 3?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Man City.
Man City.
Too easy, man.
It's their Super Bowl, man. They Man City live for this shit. So, they're gonna rack up another one of those. Not much else to say on that. The League Cup is not exactly the most entertaining form of football, but hey, it's a trophy, and don't know if you can say much else more than that. So, best signing. This is interesting. This is hard to quantify because you could go in terms of a lower price signing who's going to perform,
like best for value.
Could just go for a Harry Kane who's going to be expensive, but he's going to deliver if who hasn't even signed. But could we speculate on this one and say Kane to City?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair because it looks pretty legit. It looks like the deal's gonna happen. Daniel Levy, he every time he says I will not be selling this player, in the end he ends up selling him. I
Yeah.
remember the days of Gareth Bale when he said I will not be selling him for 100 million, not even for 200 million, and then the second 85 million pound bid came in, that guy was gone.
Yep.
So yeah, Harry Kane, I think that could be a good pick, but I'm actually gonna take Lukaku purely because I think Lukaku will still be the top goal scorer. He changes his team a lot more. People are thinking that for about a 28, 29-year-old striker, that's too much money paid, over 100 million pounds for a player of that stature, of that age, of that stature, and a guy that's failed in the Prem before. But a lot of people were too harsh on him in the first stint, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
yes, he may have not been the best goal scorer for United, but he was a hell of a player on the wing. Everyone said he's so clunky, he's so slow, this, that, and the other. He was probably the second or third fastest player on that team. Um, I think he's gonna be at the peak of his power there now. He finally found his goal scoring prowess. Playing under Antonio Conte really, really elevated his game. That guy gave him a career. I'm gonna be honest. He gave him that guy. Lukaku was great, but Conte made him 50 times better.
I agree
So I'm
100%.
gonna take Romelu Lukaku as my best signing for sure.
That's a very respectable take. For me, that was between Lukaku or Harry Kane, but because Harry Kane looks to be imminent and on his way to the blue half of Manchester, I'm going to take him, even though he hasn't already signed yet, but I think it's pretty much as good as done, that deal. And he's going to definitely be looking to break some goal scoring records there. So that's that. Yeah. Any last thoughts on the Premier League season, or we good to wrap this up?
All I'm gonna say is bring it on. I mean, we're excited. Me and
Yep.
Bowen are fired up for this football season, let alone this Premier League season. I mean, we're gonna do a Champions League recap or preview probably after the group stage is set. Right now, we're looking at the last qualifiers. One of my hometown teams, Sheriff Tiraspol, is one game away from making it to the Champions League for the first time in history. They've won 3-0 against Dinamo Zagreb in the first leg. It's going to be great to see there. We're going to come out with a Serie A prediction sometime later this week because, we missed an episode last week. We're going to try to make up for that. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully this will be a great season. Hopefully there's not going to be any interruptions with the Delta variant affecting
Yeah.
the whole world right now. But yeah, fingers crossed this is going to be a great footballing season.
Plus, just with fans back, it's a much more electric. Just the past
For
weekend
sure.
alone was so much more enticing to watch. And with fans back, we can joke about Premier League and passion, but it was a great sight to see. So I think City are going to walk the league, but I think the competition for the top four and top five, top six places is going to be as good as ever. So yeah, Milan, I'm right there with you, brother. I think it's going to be a great year. And yeah, even though I think the league's a foregone conclusion at this point, it's still going to be very entertaining to watch for sure. Even if you and I aren't the biggest Premier League fans out there, just based off kind of the narrative it gets, it's still very entertaining, no doubt about that. So, yeah, any more thoughts, or are we just about good to wrap up?
I say we wrap it up, boss.
Sounds good. So yeah, thank you to everybody who watches, supports us. It's been another great episode with you, Milan, talking Premier League for over an hour now. But yeah, another episode of Slightly by Sports Talks in the books. We'll be back within the week with Serie A, with more football and a ton of content as all the sports seasons getting into full swing. So for myself, Bowen Cunningham, Milan Stanshu, it's been real. Be back in a week. Easy.
Later.